Imagine going out for a normal day of fishing.
And then suddenly, a violent storm hits. Your boat engine dies,
Your radio stops working.
and the ocean stretches endlessly in every direction.
No food, no fresh water,
No rescue. Now imagine surviving like that.
not for a day, not for a week, but for 438 days. This is the unbelievable true story of José Salvador Alvarenga, the fisherman who disappeared into the Pacific Ocean.
And somehow came back alive. The normal day that changed everything on November 17, 2012.
Alvarenga left the coast of Mexico on what should have been a routine fishing trip. He had done this hundreds of times before. Fishing was his life,
The ocean was his workplace, and storms, they were just part of the job.
That morning, he brought a young helper with him.
A man named Ezequiel Córdoba.
Córdoba was only in his early 20s. He was new to fishing, but he needed the money.
So when Alvarenga offered him the job, he said yes.
Neither of them had any idea they were about to disappear from the world. The boat they both was small.
About 24 feet long.
No roof, no sleeping area, no bathroom, just a simple fishing skiff rig. A small outboard engine of call a fishing nets a radio. Normally these trips lasted less than 24 hours. They would catch fish,
Return to shore.
and sell them in the market.
But this trip would become the longest survival story ever recorded at sea.
The storm for the first few hours, everything went perfectly.
They caught hundreds of pounds of fish. The caller was filling fast. It looked like it would be a very profitable day. But then,
The sky changed.
dark clouds rolled in. The wind began to howl. Within minutes, the ocean turned violent.
Waves crashed against the tiny boat.
Rain fell like bullets.
The storm became so powerful, they could barely see. Alvarenga tried to turn the boat back toward shore.
But the engine struggled. Then suddenly,
The motor died.
completely alone, the radio still worked. So Alvarenga called his boss on shore. He told him, "Listen, we're caught in a huge storm."
The engine died.
His boss replied, "Stay calm."
I'll send help. But the storm kept getting worse.
Massive waves pushed the boat farther and farther away from land. Rescue boats tried to find them.
But the weather was too dangerous.
After hours of searching, they had to turn back.
And just like that, Alvarenga and Córdoba were completely alone in the Pacific Ocean. No engine, no navigation, no control over where the currents would take them.
They were now drifting.
Into one of the largest oceans on Earth.
The first night was terrifying.
The storm continued for hours.
Huge waves smashed into the boat,
Both men believed they were going to die. They held onto the sides of the boat.
praying it wouldn't flip over.
Lightning lit up the sky. Thunder shook the ocean.
But somehow,
The boat survived, and when the sun finally rose, the storm was gone.
the ocean was calm again. But something far worse had happened.
Land was gone. In every direction.
There was nothing but water. Reality sets in. They checked the boat. The engine was destroyed.
The radio was dead. The GPS had stopped working. They had no way to call for help, no way to steer, and worst of all, they only had a small amount of food.
Maybe enough for a few days. At that moment,
Alvarenga realized something terrifying. The currents were dragging them farther into the Pacific Ocean, and unless a ship randomly found them, they might never be seen again.
part to the fight to survive day one of realization the first morning, after the storm felt strangely peaceful. The ocean was calm,
The sky was clear,
and the sun slowly rose over the endless blue water.
but for José Salvador Alvarenga and Ezequiel Córdoba, that peaceful morning came with a terrifying realization. They were lost, completely lost. There was no land anywhere,
No ships,
no airplanes,
no rescue.
just water stretching endlessly to the horizon. Alvarenga tried to stay calm. He had spent most of his life fishing in the Pacific Ocean.
He knew the ocean could be dangerous, but he also knew panic would only make things worse. So he told Córdoba something simple. Don't worry, someone will find us. But deep inside, he wasn't so sure.
The first problem proved luckily. The boat still had something valuable.
Fish. Hundreds of pounds of freshly caught fish were still inside the cooler. At first, this felt like a miracle. Food meant survival.
But there was a problem. They had no fire, which meant they couldn't cook anything.
The only way to eat was to eat the fish raw.
At first, Córdoba refused.
The idea of eating raw fish made him sick. But hunger is powerful, and eventually,
He forced himself to take a bite.
the taste was horrible,
Salty, slimy.
but it kept them alive.
The second problem, water food, wasn't their biggest problem. Water was.
Humans can survive weeks without food,
But without fresh water,
most people die in just a few days, and the ocean around them was full of salt water. Drinking it would kill them even faster. So they waited and prayed.
for rain, for 2 days, nothing happened. The sun burned their skin. Their lips cracked.
Their throats became painfully dry.
By the third day, Córdoba was desperate. He started talking about drinking seawater. Alvarenga stopped him immediately.
He knew that would be suicide.
Instead, he searched the boat for anything that could hold water.
He found plastic containers and an empty fuel tank. Then he told Córdoba something simple.
When the rain comes, we collect every drop. The first rain on the fourth day.
Dark clouds appeared again. But this time, they weren't afraid.
They were hopeful. Soon the sky opened, rain poured down, and both men began collecting water as fast as possible. They used plastic bottles, fish containers, even their own clothes as some of the water spilled.
Some of it mixed with salt, but enough stayed clean. For the first time since the storm,
they drank fresh water. It was the most beautiful taste they had ever experienced.
The ocean becomes their prison days turned into weeks.
The boat drifted wherever the currents pushed it. Sometimes the ocean was calm.
Other times violent waves slammed into the tiny boat.
But the worst part wasn't the weather. It was the silence.
No ships,
no airplanes,
no rescue. After several weeks, they realized something horrifying. Search teams had probably stopped looking. As far as the world was concerned, they were already dead. Learning to survive slowly,
Alvarenga began adapting to life at sea.
He became incredibly resourceful.
He learned to catch fish with his bare hands.
He tracked small sea turtles that swam near the boat.
Sometimes birds would land on the edge of the skiff,
and when they did, he grabbed them instantly.
They ate everything raw: fish, birds, turtles, even jellyfish sometimes.
Nothing could be wasted. Every bite meant another day of life. Drinking the rain became their lifeline. Wherever a storm passed,
they collected as much water as possible. But storms were unpredictable. Sometimes weeks passed without rain.
During those times, they rationed every drop.
Just a few small sips per day.
Their bodies became weaker.
Their skin turned dark from the sun. Their clothes slowly fell apart.
But somehow, they kept going. Sharks, the ocean around them was not empty. Sharks often circled the boat.
Sometimes dozens of them.
At night,
their fins cut through the water like knives. Córdoba was terrified. He barely slept.
Every splash made him jump, but Alvarenga had spent years fishing in these waters. He understood sharks.
Most of the time,
they were just curious. Still,
one mistake could mean death, so they stayed inside the boat at all times, even when the heat became unbearable.
The psychological battle, the physical struggle was terrible.
But the mental struggle was even worse.
Weeks turned into months.
Córdoba slowly lost hope. He constantly talked about his family,
about how they were probably grieving their death.
Some nights,
he cried uncontrollably.
Other nights, he stared silently at the ocean. Alvarenga tried to keep his mind strong.
He told stories.
He made jokes.
He talked about the future. But deep inside, he also felt the same fear.
What if they never escaped? What if this endless ocean
became their grave? The first sign of trouble after several months at sea.
Córdoba stopped eating.
At first, it was just a few meals.
Then entire days. He refused raw fish. He refused birds.
He even refused turtles.
He kept saying the same thing.
I can't eat this anymore. His body was already weak.
Without food, he began deteriorating quickly. Alvarenga tried everything.
He begged him.
He argued.
He even forced food into his hands.
But Córdoba refused, and that decision would soon change everything.